So I think the biggest takeaway is initially we saw Bitcoin fall sharply, right? It went from around 31,000 back to 29.5, but it's kind of come back to settle in that $30,000 range. And I think what we take away from this is that it's not horrible news, it's not great news, but it's not horrible. I think the term used was inadequate, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean they're not shutting it down. They're saying we need more information, or we need you to do more due diligence, or give us whatever we need. And then it seems like they're open at least to it getting through.
The SEC sued Coinbase for violating federal securities laws. The lawsuit led to a 20% drop in Coinbase's share price. The tokens mentioned in the lawsuit, such as Solana, Cardano, Polygon, Filecoin, and Sandbox, are also experiencing significant declines in their prices. Dan Held, a serial crypto entrepreneur, believes that cryptocurrencies that use a proof-of-work consensus mechanism and had a fair distribution at their launch are less likely to be considered securities by the SEC. He pointed out that most of the tokens labeled as securities in the SEC's lawsuits were proof-of-stake coins or tokens with a pre-mined distribution. He also believes that only Bitcoin and a few other decentralized cryptocurrencies will survive in the long run. Gareth Soloway, in an interview with Greg Dickerson, highlighted that the SEC is investigating altcoins to determine if they should be classified as securities. This news caused a decline in the market, but the price movement has been relatively muted since then. He added that altcoins, which were starting to rally earlier in the day, were dampened by the news. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, has filed an application with the SEC to launch a Bitcoin ETF. This is significant because the SEC has previously rejected several applications for Bitcoin ETFs. However, BlackRock's reputation and market capitalization could increase its chances of success. Some experts believe that this move is a message to the SEC and the Democratic administration that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are important for the U.S. economy. In response to the news, Bitcoin's price has risen above $30,000. Soloway believes that the introduction of spot ETFs by major financial institutions is seen as a positive development for cryptocurrencies in the long term. However, this is still some time away, and it can be challenging for crypto investors to focus on long-term developments. Let's listen to Gareth Soloway's point of view.
I mean, from what I know, with at least the legalities between the SEC and Coinbase, they're filing not with Bitcoin specifically, it's with other things. So it's with the altcoins, right? The ones that they're claiming are securities. So maybe that also leaves a small door open. I think, honestly, I always look at price action, and price action has been pretty muted, right? I mean, you had the initial reaction, and let me show my chart here, but we had the initial reaction, and let me go to the intraday 10-minute chart. Here was that news hitting the market. Again, we were up right against that resistance at 31,000 on the intraday. We flushed down to support, and then we've kind of just trailed off in this lower area here. And the other thing that I thought was interesting too is that today was the day that altcoins were starting to pump. And it was amazing how that just took a lot of the wind out of the sails of the altcoins. Like, so if we go to the daily chart and you look at Cardano, for instance, Cardano was up into resistance earlier today, looking like it was trying to break out and go to this next level of 33, 34 cents. And that news just slammed it right down. So by hitting back at Bitcoin and the ETFs, they kind of took out the wind from behind the sails of the altcoins as well. Longer term, there's no doubt that having spot ETFs that are brought to the market by Fidelity or by BlackRock, that's a positive. That's a net positive. But you're right. I mean, we're talking about a year to a year and a half away. The crypto market barely can focus on a week to 2 weeks away. And so how do you when you talk to crypto investors, when this is so far away, do they stick around? What if, and again, this is my bear case, right, for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is going to revisit its lows, it's not going to, in my opinion, have to do with a new fraud, a new this or new that. Even with Binance, the markets has kind of digested the chance that what the SEC has claimed is true. But the bigger question is, if you look at what's going on with the stock market and just the relentless upside action we've been seeing in certain stocks, let's say we do all of a sudden get a corrective move in stocks of 10, 20, 30%. How does that then affect Bitcoin and the crypto markets if you see a run for safety? Because I don't think at this point yet we have Bitcoin is certainly not a safe haven yet. All right. We saw a little bit glimpse of that during the banking crisis earlier this year, but it's really still been trading as a risk asset. And if there's one thing, the COVID tank, and again, that was a black swan event. It caught everyone off guard. But one of the things that I remember vividly from that period, as well as past really panicky sell periods, is that even gold sells off for short amounts of time. And so I think people have to realize that even if you get to be that panicked market, that everything is going to dump. It's people just freak out and they just dump all asset prices, even if it's something like gold, which is a safe haven, at least in the short run. So that kind of opens the door for maybe a buying opportunity if that happens, even if a spot ETF has been approved at that point. And let's not forget that the top on the last cycle was exactly when the futures ETF got approved. So here we see that certainly it wasn't like all of a sudden that was the new bull market. That was actually the top of the bull market when that happened.
The price of gold dropped as a stronger U.S. dollar and lower U.S. Treasury yields weighed on the precious metal. The decline comes as expectations of tighter monetary policy increase, leading to a stronger dollar and making it more costly to hold precious metals. The market is showing signs of economic strength despite higher borrowing costs, which reduces the demand for safe haven assets like gold. At the same time, the U.S. dollar is gaining strength due to positive U.S. economic data. Gareth Soloway suggests that the relationship between the U.S. dollar and gold is important, and the chart pattern for the dollar suggests a higher likelihood of a downward breakout. This could impact the prices of gold, cryptocurrencies, and stocks in general. Gold has decreased in value by around 2.6% this month, which could lead to its second consecutive monthly decline. This drop is due to expectations of long-lasting higher interest rates in the United States, which have reduced the attractiveness of gold as it does not generate any yield. Additionally, these expectations have somewhat diminished gold's role as a safe haven asset. Let's hear from Gareth Soloway's interview.
With triple tops, so double tops are the most bearish, right? Double tops, you get the biggest pullbacks. Triple tops, you usually get more shallow pullbacks and then a breakout. So for me, it's the triple top is okay because essentially it's what you're doing is you're hammering on a doorway. Here the doorway's forming. Here you try to break it down. It's too hard the first hit. Here's the second hit over here. Now it's getting weakened. The doorway is weakened. Usually by the third or the fourth hit of that line, it can break out. What I liked about this chart and why I actually picked up some GDX in the Verified Investing Alerts trade signal service at In the Money Stocks, and we picked up GLD is because this pivot to this pivot was a classic retrace to what I call the scene of the crime. It broke out, hit double top, and retraced right to that. So that is to me, that's a bullish setup where I would expect this now to climb back to those highs. It's a nice chart. And again, one thing about gold is it's not a sexy thing in terms of it's not going to make you a 10x or a 5x in a short amount of time like a crypto or maybe even a stock can, but it also takes risk away to the downside. You're not really worried about gold dropping 30, 40, 50% on you. Let's take a look here. So from this high to this low, 22% drop. And that's pretty dramatic. I mean, that's for gold, that's a big drop. That's another factor to just keep in mind is that as soon as the dollar put in a top, that was gold's bottom, and gold has rallied all the way since then, basically until the recent pullback. Now it brings up the dollar chart here too, which is very interesting because you're kind of in this tightening wedge pattern. The question is, do we break down or do we break out on this chart? And that obviously will have implications for gold, crypto, as well as stocks. Generally, this pattern is a breakdown pattern. Doesn't guarantee it, but about a 60 to 40 probability that this would break down. We've heard so much about the de-dollarization aspect and more about it. I think for me, it's a very longer term play where, the dollar will break and then it will go down, but it's not as volatile, obviously, as what we're used to with crypto. That's for sure.
BlackRock, a prominent asset management company, resubmitted its application for a Bitcoin ETF and revealed that Coinbase, a major cryptocurrency exchange, is its partner for sharing surveillance information. This announcement follows a challenging week for various companies attempting to file for ETFs. The SEC temporarily paused ETF applications from BlackRock, ARK, Valkyrie, WisdomTree, Invesco, and other firms due to issues with their paperwork. As a result, many of these companies rushed to refile their applications. Let's see how it will affect the development of cryptocurrency. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like and subscribe to our channel. You can also click the bell icon to be notified when we release new videos.